All right, welcome back to the channel Watch Your Budget, where we unbox and review budget watches that pack a ton of value. And today we're going to be taking a look at a $30 Casio with a 10-year battery, 100 meters of water resistance, and a negative display that looks way cooler than it probably should. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Casio W-800H-1BVCF. All right, let's get into it. So Casio packaging. This is one of the places they save their money. Very typical. Nothing's going to surprise you here. All right, and there it is. Very beautiful watch. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. So first impressions. Number one, 10-year battery. You like to see that? Well, that's a cool looking watch. It's also super light. Very, very light watch. Obviously, first thing you notice is going to be the negative display. First thing you feel is how light the watch is. But I do love how the bracelet design seems like it's integrated into the watch itself. Very cool. Everything is resin, so it is super lightweight. It's only 37 grams. And under direct light, this negative display is super legible, and it's really simple. Just the information you need is on this watch. It's a timeless design. No frills. Nothing super fancy about the watch. It's very straightforward, just with a very efficient and beautiful design. All for 30 to 40 bucks. First impressions are really, really good. Let's get into the specs a little bit. So you are going to have a resin case, resin strap. As I mentioned, it is only 37 grams. The case dimensions are going to be 44.2 by 36.8 and 13.4 millimeters thick. Not a big watch. I wouldn't say it's a small watch either. I think it's going to be like a medium size watch. It's going to be pretty universal against all wrist sizes, except for maybe very, very large wrists. It does have a CR 2025 battery that is rated up to 10 years, which is great. And 100 meters of water resistance, so you can use this as a daily beater. You can take this out on fishing trips. You can take this out on hikes, the gym, snorkeling. Basically, any exposure to water you'll have on a day-to-day basis, this watch is going to survive it. And not only that, but thrive in it as well. Pretty simple functions here. You do have your adjust button in the top left, your mode button in the bottom left. You have your light, backlight in the top right, and you do have your 24-hour and your action button here. So you have your switches from the 12-hour to the 24-hour. You do have your year, your date, and the day, and obviously the time here. Pretty basic functions. You are going to have your alarm, your stopwatch, your dual time. That's pretty much it. There's no fancy features within this watch. It is going to be a rather simple watch. It does have an auto calendar up to $20.99 and an hourly chime with a 1/100th of a second stopwatch. And it does only have one alarm, but it does come with a snooze as well. Now, the first thing you are going to notice about this is the negative display. It does have a stealthy, modern look to it versus the standard display. Frankly, this watch does come in several different variations. I prefer the negative display. The whole vibe of this watch kind of fits that negative display. Now, this watch was released in the 2007 ish area. The 800H was released. So this watch has been around for almost 20 years, and it does have that timeless design to it. But I do think that negative display kind of makes this watch. That's what makes this watch special. Now, the trade-off is going to be readability. At certain angles or in harsh sunlight, you might need to tilt your wrist slightly to get the best contrast. Compared to a positive display, it's a little less glance and go, but it's not bad, just different. Now, where it really shines is under the backlight. I'll show you what that looks like as well. Once the LED hits, the digits pop nicely. It's got that green LED light to it, which is pretty cool. So if you care more about style and vibe, you're going to love it. This watch packs a ton of style. And now if you care more about maximum readability, a positive display is probably still going to be king. But if you don't own a negative display watch, this might be a great watch to enter that market with. Test it out a little bit, see if it's your thing. You can see, obviously I've got two bright lights above me here. So the legibility is really nice right now, but if you do tilt this a little bit in any direction, it is going to disappear. I'll show you a little bit about what that watch looks like in natural sunlight as well. But if I'm being honest, how many people are looking at the time from this angle? If anything, you're just going to read it head on. To me, that is not going to be a deal breaker. I think the aesthetics of the watch, the way it looks with the negative display, is going to outshine me being snobby and having a big deal with turning my wrist an extra few degrees to the left so I could read the watch head on. Let's take a look and see what it looks like on my wrist. Now, my wrist is 6 7/8 to give you a little bit of perspective here. Fits nicely. Again, very, very light. Only 37 grams. Again, can't see the time, so I just move my wrist. Now I can see the time. It's not that big a deal. Not to me, at least. All right, let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the watch. So the pros, 10-year battery right off the bat. I try to focus on watches that do have an extended battery life. Once the battery goes, I'm not really a big fan of changing out the batteries. It's too much hassle. I'll just buy a new watch at that point, especially in this price range, 30 to 40 bucks. So the more battery I can get out of it, the longer the watch is going to last, the better it is for me. And to be honest, I think that adds a ton of value by itself. 100 meters of water resistance, anything you throw with this outside of any sort of like serious diving, this watch is going to be just fine. It is very lightweight, resin everywhere, 37 grams. If that's something that's important to you, this feels like a feather on your wrist. You're not even going to notice it's there after you put it on. It's going to be super reliable. This is basically a Honda Civic on your wrist with aftermarket blacked out wheels and tinted windows. This watch is made to last. And I think the stealth negative display gives you a really cool vibe, and I would call that a pro. Now, to be fair though, I would also say that the negative display is a con. I think there's going to be some people who are just not going to be interested in this watch simply because of the negative display. To each their own. The aesthetics are very basic for this watch. Some people love Casio because of the features and the niches that Casio offers in their lineup. This watch is very straightforward. What you see is what you get. Not much more, not much less. This is just a daily watch that has a lot of style, very timeless. And if you're into that, you like the minimalist sort of vibe, this watch is going to be right up your alley. There is not much fancy tech here. Now, one other con I will say is the strap is on the cheaper end. It's flexible, it's comfortable, but I mean, this is where it doesn't look like a $30 watch, but this is going to make it feel like a $30 watch. However, the design is pretty cool. I do like the strap on the watch. It just feels cheap, if I'm being honest with you. But it's not a deal breaker. Also, one thing that I'm personally critical on when I do look at the budget watch market is I always want to take a look, especially when it's all resin, I want to take a look at the glass and how it's designed within the case. And as you can see here, the glass is not protected. It does stick out past the case, so it's going to get scratches. Just be mindful of that. And if it gets a scratch, it gets a scratch. There's different products out there that will help you buff out scratches out of resin glass. But just know that it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But again, not a deal breaker. Not for me, at least. So final thoughts. Who is this watch for? This watch is going to be perfect for your gym watch, your day-to-day beater, something with a little style, something that oozes a little swagger, all packed into a $30 watch. That's a pretty cool deal. It's also going to be an entry into the negative display market. There's tons of watches that have negative displays. If I'm being honest, I got a couple of more reviews coming out next that also have negative displays, so this won't be the last one. But I do feel like this is going to be a really simple, minimalist, almost a Casio retro espionage style watch, which is pretty cool. I dig it. That's why I got it, and that's why I love it. I'd love for you to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the negative display. Is this something that excites you about the watch? Is this something that you can live without? Is it something you prefer not to have? Do you own any negative displays? How have they held up over time? I'd love for you to like and share if possible if you enjoyed the content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because every single week my goal is to review a new budget watch to help you decide on which watch to get next and to build your collection with. All right, until the next time, we'll see you around the corner.